In this section, we're going to be looking at exercise number 38 on page 221. Now, here we have to think carefully about what the problem is asking us to solve for so that we can enter the information correctly into the StatsCrunch. So the first one we looked at was pretty straightforward. This one's going to require us to think a little bit more carefully about what we're trying to solve for. So, number 38 shows we have a probability that a person will not show up for a flight that they have booked is 0.0995. The Beechcraft jet can seat 19 passengers. So the question is it wise to book 21 passengers for this jet? Explain. Now, we need to think carefully about what this problem is asking us to solve for, and not just immediately go and start plugging our numbers into StatsCrunch. So the issue here is the potential of having 20 or more passengers show up for a flight that only has 19 seats, if we've booked 21 passengers. So overbooking is the issue that we're focusing on here. And notice that overbooking only occurs if 20 or more up. So, since overbooking is the issue, we want to assign that outcome of showing up, which produces an overbooking, to our P. We don't want to solve the problem for the probability of people not showing up, as that would not result in an overbooking. That's not the problem we're trying to solve here. So notice we have to pay attention to what is the problem we're trying to solve to determine what we should set for our P and what we should set for our Q. So with our P set for showing up, keep in mind that the only probability we've been given is that someone will not show up for a flight that they have booked for. So we need to set that for Q, and then we use our formula of P equals 1 minus Q to get our probability for people showing up for a flight that they have booked a ticket on as 0.9005. Notice when we're looking at our P, so shows up is 0.0095. Notice that when we're looking at plugging this into the binomial software with StatsCrunch, we must set the problem to solve for P, as you cannot enter Q into StatsCrunch. So this is why it's very important to pay attention to what are you actually trying to solve for based on the language of the problem, and then plugging that in correctly into the StatsCrunch software. So if we look at this here, we can see our P goes in, so 0.9005, okay? And that's, again, our P stands for showing up, since that's what we're trying to solve for. Our N is our number of trials, and in this case it's going to be 21 passengers. So this is the number of passengers we've booked equals the number of trials that we are setting for our problem. Now, notice if 19 people show up, this is not a problem. The problem of overbooking only occurs if 20 or more people show up for the flight. So that means we want to set our X at 20 plus, since we're interested in the probability of 20 or more people showing up. Thus, our X is going to be 20 plus, not 19. 19 people show up, we don't have a problem. We can seat them all. That's awesome. It's perfect. The problem is 20 or more. So here, we're going to take our X equals 20, so our 20 goes into our box here. And then notice that we have the plus sign. So that means when we're setting the equations, remember I gave you this caution in the last tutorial, we're setting our equations, we have to be looking at greater than or equal to, because 20 is a problem, okay? So we need to set it for 20 greater than or equal to. And when we run that computation, we get our answer here of 0.36757463. Which, when we bring that back over and we round it, gives us the probability of 20 or more passengers showing up when there are 21 booked for a 19-seat flight is 0.368. So this means this is not a good idea. You are close to a 40% chance of having at least one person overbooked and having to bump them to another flight or giving them some other accommodation and having low customer satisfaction. So this concludes our second tutorial in using the StatsCrunch software. Again, make sure when you're solving these problems in StatsCrunch, you need to stop first. Don't just plug your numbers in, and make sure you understand exactly what you're solving for and have your P, your Q, your N, and your X set up ahead of time before you plug them in to your software.